Man, I sure do love pizza, but I've always had this one problem with it. It's never tall enough. If only I could get pizza but in a much taller form, preferably inspired by something medieval. Oh my god. Pizza Tower is an indie 2D platformer released by Tour de Pizza earlier this year, which stars the human embodiment of the sound effect Peppino Spaghetti, who one day gets a sudden visit from a giant floating pizza, threatening to destroy his humble pizzeria with a ray gun from the top of this tower for seemingly no good reason. Our Italian hero starts dashing toward the tower to destroy it and save his pizzeria from Pizza Face, and with this origin story, the game begins. The entire game takes place in the titular Pizza Tower, where each floor of the tower has 4 levels and a boss room to get through. To get to the boss room, you'll have to find these pizza toppings in the various levels, which grant you $10 each, because apparently these veggies are moderately loaded. After gathering enough money, you can buy the boss room door from this moneybags looking mofo called Mr. Stick, and beating the boss will grant you access to the next level of the tower. You'll continue to repeat this cycle, playing through the wonderfully rich levels with themes akin to 90s slapstick cartoons or other fun video game gimmicks, like the cliche farm invaded by aliens trope, a golf course, a FNAF reference because this world just can't let me live, and your room, until you get to the top of the tower. So the first thing I'd like to point out in detail is how awesome this game looks. The actual animations and expressions of the characters are straight from wacky 90s cartoons, but the general style reminds me of early 2000s Flash games, with the whole game looking like it was made in MS Paint, but really well. Also, the level of detail in these animations is insane. There's an animation for every different movement and move combination Peppino can do, and considering this man has more moves than a goose, who's really fresh, he feels extremely lively throughout the entire game. And the enemies get a very similar treatment, by having them look absolutely horrified seeing a raging Peppino running their way, or absolutely thrashed whenever picked up. It all combines together to create an unbelievably charming and easy to approach visual style that's worth getting the game for on its own, at least in my opinion. I've heard some people say that the style was a reason for why they were put off by the game, which is strange to me because I had the complete opposite reaction and was hooked immediately. And on top of the visuals, the sound design and music are fantastic as well. The sound design has similar inspirations to the visuals, with the crunchy and sometimes intentionally bad sounding sound effects mixed in with the incredibly good soundtrack. Oregano Mirage has been on loop in my house for the past week. Completely unrelated side note, I have no neighbors anymore. Creates a great soundscape that does nothing but add to the fantastic visuals, making an incredible whole. But what's the actual gameplay like? Pizza Tower is a platformer, so your objective is to get to the end of a level using the usual platformer moves of dashing, jumping, and attacking. But the difference between Pizza Tower's movement and other platformers' movement is that unlike most video game characters, Peppino did a line before leaving out to adventure. The dash doesn't just make you a bit faster. If you can gain enough momentum, you can dash at a speed of Mach 4, blasting through almost anything and everything in your way. The singular attack you have can be used in multiple different ways, and this combined with the 2 types of jumps you have creates some of the most fun platforming I've experienced in a video game ever once you combine the staggering speeds of Peppino with your various moves into one smooth motion. Also, you have the ability to taunt, which, aside from working as a parry and a generally good addition to the game, grants you the ability to super taunt after a combo of 10 or higher, which destroys every enemy on screen, making the tougher sections of certain levels that much easier and more fun. It does take a while to get used to Peppino's control since he's a dopey little man who likes to bash into everything he sees, so beginners might have a difficult time learning the ins and outs of his moveset. But thankfully, I played through the 2019 demo of this game back when that was a thing, and learned how to control this slippery little man back then. So I had no problems jumping right into the thick of it, and oh my lord, it's so good. With this moveset, you can either slowly scour through the levels looking for the 5 previously mentioned toppings to get enough money for the boss door and the various secrets hidden within each level, if you're boring, or you could take the way more fun route of trying to become amazing at controlling Peppino, flying through the levels destroying everything in your path until you get to the end, where you have to destroy this living pillar named John and then rush back to the very beginning of the level before the timer runs out, with each second taken away from the score you've gathered up until that point. The escape sections give you such a good adrenaline rush every time, and you feel unstoppable once you get good enough at the game to get through the levels without ever stopping your flow. The best thing about this simple yet effective gameplay loop is that it gets better the more you play it. Your first playthrough of a level where you're just getting through it, learning its gimmicks and finding the secrets is, in my opinion, the worst playthrough you'll have of any given level, since you have to go fairly slowly because you don't know what's in front of you yet or where the secrets could be. It's obviously fun to see all that the level has to offer in this way, but I think the playthroughs after your first one are 10 times better, since now you get to speedrun. The best part about this game for me is hands down earning the P ranks. Ranks that you get by acquiring every secret, topping and treasure in a given level, getting through lap 2, which is a second lap of the escape section just with less time, whilst keeping an unbroken combo going throughout the entire spiel. Meaning you have to run through the level getting everything possible on your way to the pillar and back in one mad dash. The learning curve of exploring the fastest ways to get through a level, finding new secrets in the levels that are purely there to help you get through them faster, and thinking of alternative routes and places to use your limited super taunts is all so fun! Pizza Tower's levels are the perfect size for speedrunning as well. I can rarely dedicate myself to speedrunning an entire game due to how long it takes to gather together a proper route, and running singular levels of most other games where you have to take into account the amount of times your character has exhaled because the inhales take 2 frames longer to happen, meaning if you get just the right running loop you'll be a few frames faster. Seems a bit too tedious for me. But Pizza Tower's levels can be P-ranked in about 5 to 7 minutes, making them the perfect size to not be too daunting but also not too pixel perfect. In every level there's also a new type of gimmick or power-up that adds a new way of playing into the mix, making it simultaneously harder but more interesting to try and perfect the level. For example, there's the Knight outfit, which makes you slower but invincible sliding down slopes, plus you get a double jump. A whole other playable character duo called Gustavo and Brick, who have a completely different gameplay style, the bad one, and the most memorable power-up at least to me, Mort the Chicken, the main character of a PlayStation 1 game that initially released in the year 2000, which is a very strange choice for a collaboration. It's like if I got a person who's considered to be an ancient relic on YouTube in my video. The game rarely gets boring because of these constant switch-ups, and the only parts I found myself not interested in were the times where I had missed like one topping or secret and had to go through a level painfully slowly to find it. This game was built for speedrunning, and goddamn does it succeed at making you feel like a god for playing to its strengths. Now obviously the game's not perfect. The first playthrough of a level was never that exciting to me, like I said. The art style starts to get a bit hard to look at after playing the game for 7 hours straight. Look, I've got nothing. I guess you could say that the game doesn't have a particularly good story to follow as a negative, but look at this rat. This rat's name is Brick, and you're telling me we need a tragic backstory where its parents die to make the game good? I don't think so. Oh wait, hold on, okay, I've got an actual complaint. The bosses of this game can feel a bit lackluster despite them having a similar level of visual interest to the actual levels. They just don't have enough polish in them compared to the platforming levels to be considered as great. They've been balanced in a good way where they don't overstay their welcome, but I feel like they are a slight downgrade compared to everything else this game has to offer. They're just okay. Except the final boss, that one's a real good one. You know when the thing turns into the thing and then does the thing, you get a bit pissed about IRL, but then the guy reacts to that thing and then the other thing happens and then you beat the other guy and then the final thing happens? You know that thing? You'll know if you've played the boss, that thing was great. Back to the point, despite my extremely small complaints, Pizza Tower is hands down the best 2D platformer I've ever played. Its visuals? Charming. Its gameplay? Most fun I've had in a platformer. Its OST? Banging! Hotel? Why are you asking for a hotel? We are talking about a video game. It is stupendous. And if you're a fan of platformers, I highly recommend you check out Pizza Tower, since it might just be one of the best indie games to come out this year. This video was a bit of a shorter one compared to some of my previous works, because at the end of the day, I don't have that much to say about Pizza Tower. It's not that deep. I just like it. It is a fantastic game, and I'm not surprised at all that people can't seem to shut up about it, because I couldn't either. Also, it's best to go into this game as unspoiled as possible, so I didn't want to go too in-depth with it all anyways. Don't worry, I feel like I didn't spoil any of the amazing stuff, so you're good on almost every front even after watching this video. And with that, my almost monthly, bi-monthly, quadrimester gushing for a piece of media has come to an end. Thank you for watching, and go try out Pizza Tower if it seems interesting to you at all. Oh god, the funky fresh goose is back! Ah!